Hello, everyone. Welcome to Love and Lattes. This is the last episode of 2024, season one, before we ring in the new year of 2025. And boy, I have got some exciting things to share with you. My favorite one I'm actually really excited about is I have a date for New Year's. And it's not just any date, it's a very special date. Before I get into that, this is the source of this episode. The reason why I have a date for New Year's, the reason I've been able to travel all over the world this year, the reason I'm at a stance with my wealth and my health, my professional relationships and my personal ones, all happened because of this one thing. It's because I shot my shot. It's really that, okay? And you're probably listening, going, Victoria, did you really just say that? And the answer is yes, honey, I did. And let me tell you why it's so important. The most exciting, terrifying, and pivotal moments of my life have all occurred or will continue to occur because I make the decision that is kind of scary and also very exciting. And I am at the mindset where I have nothing to lose. And I know it's something that I want. Maybe I don't have a clear picture of it, but there's something telling me yes. And this goes back to 2 years ago and going through the divorce. Now, that wasn't an exciting experience. However, in that moment, I knew deep down, I was like, I have to do this. Even though there was an underlying fear of like, what is going to become of me? Like survival kicks in, which is normal. From that moment, and as I said, as I continue to move forward, all of my adventures, my relationships, my experiences, my traveling, my wealth, my health, it's all because I've put myself in a situation where I'm like, I'm going to go for it. And the most exciting things that have happened for me and around me are all because of that. All because I said, you know what? Yes, I'm going to say yes. Say yes to me. So this is all about saying yes to you. And this is kind of big around this time because everyone's like New Year's resolutions, New Year words, creating Pinterest boards. And I love that. I do that also. And nothing is more exciting than reviewing your Pinterest board at the end of the year going, oh my God, in some ways, these actually did happen. And the reason I want to get into this is because I get lots of compliments like, oh, I'd love to be in your shoes. I'm like, all you have to do is try. You just have to try. You have to cultivate the courage to put yourself out of your comfort zone and trust that what it is you're feeling is valid and that the next best thing is right around the corner. The next best thing in your life or the next mess, like the next, I'm slightly congested. This is terrible. The next thing that's going to pivot you is going to require you to do something, different. As they say, your new life is going to cost you your old life, right? You have to be ready to let some things go. For me, I had to let go of my house and my dogs, the relationships. And then when I moved to DC, it was like, oh, wow, big city, lots of opportunities. However, I really got to get my shit together if I'm going to make it out here, on your own. It's a little more, expensive. However, I truly knew that this is where I needed to be for the time being. And then I went to Italy for my birthday and I had an absolute blast. And it's just, people are continuing to be surprised by these things I'm doing. I'm like, well, you can be doing these things too. I'm not saying, go get a divorce or whatever. I am saying book the trip or shoot your shot in the DMs. Okay. Send the message. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the message thing because, you do want to be intentional. And that's, largely why a lot of these things work out. Like, what is your intention behind this? It could be, you just have a feeling. Trust that feeling. Trust that feeling. Go for it because you have nothing to lose. Now, as you set your intention, and again, when I say, like, let's say you're interested in something in the future or you're wanting a new relationship, you need to put yourself in the shoes of your future self or the person you want to become. And you also need to be ready to let go or be prepared to be faced with many, and I mean many tests. Because the world is going, your reality, your world is going to try and figure out, is this really what you want? Like, really, are you sure? Because if there's anything we've learned, it's we're really good at saying things. We're not very good at actually doing it. So for me, if I'm at a good point in my life where I am opening myself up and being intentional with who I date and who I spend time with, but I'm also very like I'm taking my relationships, my personal relationships very seriously because I want something deep and intentional because I've provided that for myself and I'm at a point now where I'm just kind of not like I'm not in my dating around just a date phase. I'm dating to find my partner phase, right? And some of my best relationships happened because I literally was like, I'm gonna say something. And some of them are very surprising, which is why I have a date for New Year's. Because I sent a message. This is not on the apps, by the way. However, to everyone's their own. If you want to learn more about dating in the modern world, listen to the episode with James Priest and I. Um, the thing about it is, though, I've learned recently that as I was navigating and being intentional about like what it is I wanted, and things were falling into place really great. I had a really great November. December is just chef's kiss right now. I had to also recognize the things that were kind of happening in the background. It's time to clean up the white noise. And that's going to look like learning to let go of older relationships. That could look like deleting contacts, blocking people, cleaning up your social media feed. It's okay to not follow pages or people that doesn't add any more value to you. People change, interests change. It's okay. I promise. And once you start cleaning that out, the biggest thing I would say with white noise is like who are you giving access to? Who do you keep saying yes to? And it's not really fitting your bill of needs. So if I'm being intentional and I really want this partner and I want to be taken seriously and I want to be pursued and blah, blah, blah. So why am I entertaining someone who doesn't want to have deep conversations with me or isn't interested in my lifestyle? Why would I entertain someone who doesn't know what they want and just uses me as a way to disconnect from the world? I'm not here for that. So I need to learn how to put a boundary up or aka block them, delete them. I promise you there's plenty more happening for them. And it's just the way things are moving. So, fun story about this New Year's Eve date. I follow a certain therapist on Instagram, and she made a post about connecting. And I was like, well, I'm all about connecting and connections. And I posted a thread about myself. And I was reading everybody else's, seeing what kind of stuck out, and one comment stood out to me. So I went to their page and I thought, wow, this is a very attractive, interesting individual, clearly passionate in their work and what they do. They don't even live here. However, I'm like, hey, like we all follow the same therapist and we're all sharing the same passions, kind of, it's just stuff like that. So I'm literally here to make connections, and it doesn't hurt that I have an attraction to them. So I sent my message, just see what happens. I put it out there in the world because after I said my piece, I moved on. I just kept going. I was like, I have nothing to lose by saying hello. They could say yes, they could say, ew, like, please leave me alone. Well, guess what? After exchanging a few DMs, hopping off the Instagram and into texting and FaceTimes, by the third FaceTime call, he asked me what I was doing for New Year's, specifically if I have a plus one. And so if he wanted to, he would, and he's coming. So the whole point of this is people, tend to look at our lives and they're like, it must be so easy for you. And it's really just, it's a build. It's a radical build of courage and confidence to recognize what is no longer suitable for you and stepping a little bit, like maybe just a tip, like step with your toe first into something that is exciting. It is closer to something to what you want. I'm going to reference another great podcast episode we did this year with Kimberly Benoit. We talked about when it comes to intentions and figuring out what you want, are you setting intentions and actually following through? Which is why I said earlier, we tend to say a lot of things. People say, like, they can talk all they want about their passions and what they want in life, but then it's so easy for us to drop everything and go after something because it gives us like a quick fix and a quick high. I understand that. I have been there myself, and I can like I literally have said like the world is going to give you tests like, "Oh yeah, you're really serious about this? Well, how about that?" And when it comes to relationships, of course we want, to be around people. If we're not intentional enough, it can be so easy for us to get caught up in the high of like someone's finally noticing me or talking to me, and they might not be the person for you. You could be talking to someone and there's a party that's like, well, he or she or they are nice, but okay, let's stop there. Of course, they're a wonderful human being. They're just not your human being. And by holding up and taking any more of their time does no justice for you and it doesn't help them. Nobody's winning if you're not attached to it completely. You're either in it 100% or you're not. And the same thing goes for your goals. The same thing goes for what you want, in terms of fitness, in terms of your career, in terms of your relationship. So you need to be very picky, set your intentions up, and actually follow through. And I'll be honest with you, it's hard. It is so hard. If you really want this to work, how would you actually, you know, complete it? Are you like really intentional about this person? Do you want this person to work with you? Like, do you want this to work out? Then you need to say no to everything else or everyone else that's coming into your circle if you want a long-term serious relationship. Oh, you want to take that trip. Well, then you need to start researching where you want to go, what the flights look like, because no one's going to do that for you. Now, your friends might reach out and be like, hey, we're going to do a big girls' trip or mom's trip or whatever. And it could be like, oh, well, I didn't think about going there, but X, Y, and Z. So it might not be exactly what you want. It could be a potential start, but you really need to learn how to tune in with your feelings and how that sounds to your body if this is aligned with what you want. So 2025 gets to be the year you get what you want. We don't even have to wait for New Year's. You can get what you want tomorrow. You can start getting or start nurturing, start visualizing the things you want today. And that starts with literally writing it out. Write everything down. Put it into 4 blocks, relationships, self, wealth, health, careers, like divide it up into some blocks and just brain dump it. I want you to brain dump it. And if you are a visual person like me and you're watching this video, you can kind of see my background mood board, but all of my wallpapers are my mood boards for the year. Like I start putting together and I put them in little quadrants of what I want certain things to look like and feel like after I write it all out. So you're probably thinking a lot of things. We've covered a lot in such little time, and that's why I kind of like these little mini episodes. I'm trying to fill in so much for you because I really do enjoy interviewing my guests. And what I really want to highlight is the fact that you have to have strong boundaries in place, especially when it comes to going after what you want. You need to have boundaries and discipline. This is going to look different for everybody, but let's kind of go over, like, let's highlight and gloss over like what this looks like. Discipline is the action, it's the steps you're initiating to get what you want. For me, that looks like, if I want the specific thing, I need to log it into my computer, my Google Calendar, get organized. If I see it, trust me, it's going to get done. Break everything down as small as possible because for some, it might be easier to consume more goals in a day than others. Others, just one thing a day. Take it a step, one step at a time is perfect. But develop a discipline player. Ugh, it's not even a word. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Develop a system to get yourself organized as you begin this process. There are a lot of resources. I am connected to a really great network. There's communities out there. If you're looking for accountability, there is someone out there for somebody. It's okay to have accountability partners, and it's wonderful to have friends who know about what it is you want and they're willing to test you out. I have wonderful girlfriends of mine who will sit there and call me out and be like, yeah, but is this really what you want? Like, are you really like, is this like really? And sometimes it's like it's pretty eye-opening. You're like, ah, crap, because I was feeling like a and you're feeling the so it must be Let me, just talking it out in general is what's very helpful. To the other side of this, boundaries. Now, if you're a social butterfly like me, or maybe you're not, if you're more introverted, the boundaries are going to serve everybody differently. Boundaries are the kind of think of it like a safety net almost. But boundaries are going to be where you draw the line. Like, I cannot schedule something, I can't go to the bar every week. I can't go to brunch every week if I'm trying to save up for a trip to Greece next summer. You know, a boundary is I want to visit my family, but I need to put a timer on because I'm only going to come in because it drains my energy and I need my energy for work next week on Monday or something like that. The boundaries are going to protect you so that you can still feed yourself into what you want. Again, it's so easy for us to give ourselves away when people just, simply ask, because we're like, oh, I don't want to disappoint anybody. I don't want anyone to be mad at me. Trust me, the people who love you in your life will understand if you tell them no. The most powerful boundary and the biggest boundary is no. No, thank you's nice too, depending on the circumstance. And that might not be to somebody, that could be directly at yourself. I am a huge foodie. I love that I live in a city where there's plenty of food around. However, it's not sustainable and it's not healthy. Therefore, I have to go to the gym more or do Pilates. So the other day, I'm at the grocery store and I had to literally squeeze together a meal prep plan. And I knew that if I cooked it, one, I made it a fun experience. I love to cook. And two, I knew by eating this that I was still sticking close to my goals in terms of my wellness versus, going out to grab a pizza, which I did the week before. So I made a boundary with myself. And I'm not saying it's going to be like, rainbows and unicorns all the time. Like sometimes it just happens where we have a slip up, a slip happens. We just need to know when we catch ourselves or ask for help. Like, hey, and this is where the accountability comes in. This is where the discipline comes in. Write yourself a note. Keep your eyes open on where your money is going. How many times have you come back from the date and you're like, God, I feel so drained? Or I don't like if someone texts you and you look at their name, do you get excited when you see their name? Are you even wanting to see this person? Or you're like, what's taking up more real estate in your mind than it truly deserves? Because, yeah, I know. One more time, go back and listen. One more time. How many times do you entertain something that isn't giving you the same attention back? And I know, the world knows if it's not adding any, pleasure, if it's not adding any benefit, joy, we can throw in orgasm if you want to. Like if you're not getting excited about the thought of this person, this opportunity, this, job or the food, it does not belong in your space. So we are cleaning things up. This is a perfect time. Declutter the closet, clear out the contacts. This this same time last year, I was in a really hard space, a really hard place. Um, and I was burning out. I kept doing things because I thought that was the right approach and nothing was working. And I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go offline because after having some really hard conversations with really good friends and professionals, it was like, this isn't working for you. And you know that. Nothing's worse than you agreeing to something that makes you feel like shit. Like, why do we choose to do that? Because again, we're human beings. We grow up in a people-pleasing society where if our output of work is greater, then maybe somehow we're validated and valued more. That's false. Thanks. Thanks for stopping by. And so around this time last year, right at New Year's, I didn't even post New Year's pictures. I took them. I didn't post any because I decided in that moment that I was going to take a pause from social media for a week. And that week turned into 6 months. And guess what happened in those 6 months? The moment I gave that away, my wealth changed. I got my morning back. I got joy back. I'm not saying I don't like being on social media. I love it now, but before, mm-mm. But do you see what can happen when we finally remove ourselves from the things that are not serving us? We start to receive more of what we want. We're stepping more into our power. We're learning to love ourselves more and respect ourselves more because we are willing to give away the things that weren't actually working. It's just so easy to say yes to things when they're given to us, but not everything that's given to you is actually for you or a yes. That goes for people, that goes for relationships, job opportunities, that goes for food too. Yeah. Oh, this was a fun episode, and I'm really excited to ring in 2025. 2024 has probably been my most prosperous year yet. My word for this year was abundance. Still kind of navigating what I want 2025 to look like, and that's okay. Things change. However, my mood board, my Pinterest board that I made that's on my wallpaper for my laptops and desktop and my phone haven't changed. And those things have manifested in my life in some way or another. So, really exciting things are coming. As soon as 2025 kicks off, we've got an amazing plethora of new podcast episodes coming in. Wonderful guests. We're going to cover sexual wellness from hormonal health to talking, communicating with your partner. We're going to cover some technology, it's like escaping my brain right now. We're going to talk about therapy and how it's actually something that's truly wonderful. And I think a lot of folks can benefit in the stigma that's behind it. We're also going to get into what's some other fun episodes I got here. Um, oh yeah, we're going to talk about stigma around sex. I have a wonderful guest there. I also had the pleasure of speaking with some women in the workplace. So we're going to cover workplace ethics because the work does impact your mental health and the relationship you have with yourselves. So everything follows you and flows through everything. Everything is connected. And yes, you're doing your damn best. I'm very happy and very proud that you're here with me and we get to kind of journey through this together. Please understand that everybody has, different timelines and different stories. And while I might be very excited for New Year's, you might be like, ew, New Year's is not my jam. That's okay. I still wish you and want the best for you, and you get to create that. Thank you. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to the episodes, to following me on Instagram. As always, I have my private practice available if you'd like to connect and sign up for a session. If you need any resources or have questions, reach out. I'm here. merriest of all holidays and Christmases and happiest of New Years, my love. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Love and Lattes. I will see you next year.